Welcome back. So Soweto-born Boitumelo Katisi has defied all odds, and this is to achieve her dream of becoming a commercial pilot. She faced many problems along the way, including a lack of funding. Well, Katisi joins us now for more on her story. Boitumelo, a good evening to you. I believe they call you 3 bars.
Good evening, how are you?
It's so good to have you with us, known as to me 3 bars, Boitumelo Katisi. You're from Pimville in Soweto. Where does a young woman from Pimville in Soweto interact with aeroplanes and decide that's what I want to do?
Well, not really Soweto based. That's where I got the inspiration from.
Yeah.
But my aunt is from there. She worked at SAA. So luckily for me, she took me to work for a school project. So I was going there to actually see what she does at SAA, which is like admin-based, office-based.
Okay.
And I think throughout the course of the morning while I was with her, she saw that I'm kind of bored. And she just suggested that, you
with
know,
all the paperwork.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I think you should go see the other side, where the airplanes are and the pilots. I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And once walking over to the other side, the first thing I saw, obviously, was the big airplanes. And from there, walking into the crew room. And that's when I saw, like, okay, the pilot uniform, the stripes, the hats. It's like, okay, this seems interesting.
Yeah.
And then coming across pilots coming to check in and they're leaving for flights to New York and so forth. So I was like, okay, this sounds very interesting. And I think from that day onwards, I didn't look back. I was like, this is what I want to do.
You know why that's such a beautiful beginning to your story of your career is every now and then, you know, many years ago we had this initiative in the country, Take a Girl Child to Work, all of those different sort of initiatives. And people, you know, wondered, where do these things actually lead to, right? But it seems clear that that exposure actually works. Yes. But here's the reality about being a pilot. It's hard and it's expensive, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, talk to me about that, because it's not cheap. It's not an easy career to get into.
Yeah, I mean, right now to get your commercial license, you're looking at about R500,000.
Sure.
Plus minus. You can easily go over that. So obviously coming from the township and you have this big dream of becoming a pilot, and my mom is a single parent, and having to save up so much was something that was not close to home.
Yeah.
So I had to make a plan because I knew that this is what I want to do and I want to excel and success in it. So I had to assist her in a way, one way or another, because my mom joined a stock fair actually to be able to pay for my first license.
Wow.
So she would put in money, but the thing with flight school, it's when you're flying, it's muscle memory. So the more time you take off, the more time you need to come back and redo some things. And that cost a lot of money. So stock fair, obviously, it rotates each time when someone gets the money. So having to wait sometimes a month or 2 for money to go into my school account was a big deal, because every time I go back to school, there are some things that I need to redo, some flights that I need to redo. So I saw that this is not going to work, and I had to come up with a plan. And that plan was to write a motivational letter and send it out to every company I can think of.
Okay. But this is the thing. So now I'm just imagining how stressful this is on the family. You're watching your mother go through the stress of trying to piece the money together. But you went public also, right? With request for assistance.
Yes. So what I did, I actually approached like every company you can think of. I think the company that got back to me was Pick n Pay. Pick n Pay, but the time that they received my letter was just after the financial year. So I further on got a call from Breitling. So Breitling, they make like those famous pilot watches, and they were interested in helping me get my first license by giving me a watch. That watch was like 80,000 Rand.
Sure.
And I would have like 600 raffle tickets, and each raffle ticket I had to sell for like 100 Rand. So I had people as far as Australia buying tickets towards this raffle. So obviously to gain more coverage or to get more people to see about the raffle, I had to write to aviation magazines and asked them to actually promote this raffle on the magazine, which wasn't an issue. Until one day, the National Lottery Board, they sent me an email, I think, at first, and telling me to stop the raffle because I hadn't gone through the whole process through them. I have to register my raffle through them, and it can take almost up to a year or 2 for them to approve. So I think the first time I received the email, I thought, no, it's probably a spam. So I ignored it. And then the second time I got it again, I was like, okay, maybe this is something. until they gave me a call. And then I tried to explain to the gentleman that I spoke to from the National Lottery Board that this is a raffle I'm doing towards my school, my studies. It's not like I want to buy a car or anything fancy.
Or that you have an 80,000 rand watch lying around. Yeah,
so he didn't want to hear it. He just told me if I continue, they see me continue, they can go as far as arresting me. So I need to give back all the money that I've raised to everyone that bought a ticket. And I think that time I raised over 40,000 rand towards the watch. So I had to email everyone that bought a ticket and tell them like what's happening. I'm getting this from the National Lottery Board. And yeah, they just told me, everyone was like, no, it's fine to me, you can keep the money. And yeah, I had to auction the watch. I sold it for half its worth, but it was something to me. I mean, it was a hustle. It was a big obstacle that I had to get through to get the funding.
That's one heck of an obstacle. And I can just imagine, you know, the pain of going, okay, the money's coming in and then needing to disseminate it and give it back away again. But also speaks to the honor that you had in ensuring that everyone got their raffle tickets back.
Yes.
But you managed to keep going, right?
Yes, I did. I think a year after that, I actually got surprised by a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I met her actually at an aviation camp hosted by South African Women in Aviation. And at the camp, she just asked me about my progress with flying, what's going on. And I just told her like the whole lottery board story and how I'm still like struggling to raise funds towards my commercial license and completing my private pilot license. So to her, she actually wrote to 94.7 for the Christmas wish. So they surprised me in December, I think 2014.
Yeah.
To my knowing, me and my mom were going to meet a friend that just got a job at the airlines with the mother for breakfast.
Okay, wow.
And when I got to the airport, I saw my flight instructor. I was shocked, like, okay, what is he doing here? And then they handed me the phone and then I was live on radio.
Wow.
And they just told me, like, Dumi, you've got 2 companies that want to sponsor you towards a commercial license. And they're both willing to give you like 145,000 rand each towards your training. And yeah, it was a life-changing moment, I should say.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you know, here's the thing is that we look at stories like your own, and there aren't very many, but where we do find them, they're incredibly inspirational because the people that came forward and said, we're going to give you this money, saw the heart, right? And the patience and dedication that I think, you know, is such a lesson to each and every one of us, regardless of age or gender, that are watching this discussion. So I think well-deserved on your part. Where are you now?
Well, I just got back from Cape Town.
Yeah.
I was part of a cadet program through ExecuJet. So they took me to Cape Town for a cadet with South African Red Cross.
Yeah.
So I actually got a rating on my first jet turbine. I was flying with Red Cross for 2 years. And we'd fly like people from disadvantaged areas around the Western Cape that need medical assistance.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I should say it was really something that touched home for me because helping people is something that I love doing. And being able to do that through flying, it's a passion.
Incredible.
So yeah, that's where I'm from.
How many pinch me moments have you had? Because I'm looking at your profile and, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, my goodness, how many times have you had to literally touch yourself and pinch yourself to see if this is really happening? In 2023, you were honored as 40 under 40 South Africa Honorable Award recipient. It's incredible, right? You were featured on Humans of New York with Bradley Stanton.
Yeah.
Speechless, right?
I mean, I know from every time I look at my story and when I look back and where I'm from, it's God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Is that your mom on the screen there? We just showed. Was that your mom?
Yes.
Oh, man.
So to me, it's through God, like everything that's been happening in my life. It's a blessing to me.
Yeah.
Like also being able to go to Cape Town and do what I did, touching, like saving lives, changing lives, for me, yeah, it was God-given.
Oh.
God-given, yeah.
I see you crying, and I imagine that the sense of pride in yourself, and well-deserved, if you cried 1,000 times because you're proud of yourself, you deserve it. What does your mom say? Because now she's watching this journey of from Stockfell to Stockfell, and now you're, you know, being honored as a human of New York. You're flying everywhere, and you're just such an inspiration. And people have come to the party to take the load off of her? What are things that she says that stands out when she looks at where you are?
She's a very proud parent. I was with her just a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
At my second mother's. She's my mom's best friend. So with both of them, they've taken me under their wing, and they are so proud of me. I mean, my mom always tells people, yeah, she's a pilot, this is my other daughter. So she's very proud. I mean, everything that I do, it's for her. I know I wish my grand was still alive.
Oh.
But yeah, for both of them and my whole family, man, they've been there for me. I've got a lot of friends that also support me. So yeah, this is for everyone. Right? Yeah, everything I do.
Let me say this. And I imagine, there's still going to be a conversation on whether or not your mom has flown. You need to tell me that, because there she is, so proud. Has she?
Let me tell you, my mom is scared of flying.
She's still scared of flying.
Terrified. Every time I had to take a flying, because I was still studying, I was still outbuilding at Rand Airport. Every time I had to take them flying, the weather would be shaky, there would be wind. So every time she'd be like, no, not today, we'll do it.
She's scared.
But for me, it's not a train smash. I know that I'll be flying a lot of private jets, a lot of airlines. So my mom will definitely be on board on one of my flights. I wish I could be a fly on the wall for that. That's going to be absolutely beautiful. I want to do this because anyone who's watching this, and I know how many young people look at aviation with such awe, right? And it is a difficult mountain to climb that, and you got into the top and to the other side of it. When you're in the air, what's the thinking? What are you thinking? So when you're in the air, I mean, you could be in the air. People fly all the time, and the first time you fly, you're in awe, right? But when you're the one flying the plane, put us in that mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for all of us, I know as pilots, you forget about all your problems, like on the ground.
Yeah.
So you completely forget about what's happening here, and you focus what's happening in the sky. Because one thing that you must do as you fly the plane, you always have to be a step ahead of the airplane. So I must already be thinking what I need to do next, what check I need to do next. So that's what's going through my mind. But on cruise, of course, there are times where it's amazing. I mean, you feel closer to God.
Yeah.
I know most times I have my headsets on, I'm playing music, like spiritual music, and I'm just like appreciating the moment that I have, because a lot of people, like I always tell people, like, where you are in life, there are people that are praying for those moments. So you just need to cherish it and appreciate where you are. Yeah. So for me, it's one of those.
An attitude of gratitude, my sister. That's what it is, yeah. What's next for you?
What's next for me?
It's some TLC. Make sure we have some TLC.
So, God has taken me so far. I believe He has many other plans for me. But don't be shocked when you hear me in one of the intercoms in the airlines one day soon.
I'm going to go nuts.
Anything is possible.
Okay, so this is the name that you look out for when you are in the plane next to Boitumelo Katisi. You've done us so proud, and thank you so much for motivating us. If anyone wasn't looking forward to their Monday morning tomorrow, I'm telling you, they've ironed their clothes now, they're ready to go, and their motivation is set. Congratulations, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.